course all of last year, and then had that injury earlier this season, and then comes back and then has this again.
Yeah, it's tough. Especially for a guy who works as hard as Dillon does. And you watched him through, the first injury, how much time he put in, the extra work he was doing with his rehab and the medical staff, and then on the court, how he was pushing to get back and to be a part of the team and help the team, and then, to have this happen, it's disappointing for him, for all of us. You feel for him. It's one of the most difficult parts of being a part of a team is when you are injured, because you start to feel as if you're on an island, and there's things that you can do to help the team, and you just can't get out on the floor and help them because of the injury. So it's a tough situation. We feel for him. Our expectation with Dillon is he'll continue to do what he does, and he'll work tirelessly to get back, to get better, and we'll see what happens.
How is he feeling? How's he taking this?
I mean, it's tough. It's you can see in his body language, he's down, but he's the type of kid that never really gets discouraged. And when you put obstacles in front of him, he's the type of kid that overcomes those obstacles and uses it as motivation. So when he is back, expect him to be even better than before.
JB, you've been you're a league lifer, but this has been a strange 3 or 4 week stretch, I imagine, for any franchise. Have you seen anything like it relative? I mean, all of the things that have happened for this franchise in a 1 month period, roughly.
It's been a lot. Being truthful, through the season, things normally come a little more spread out. They're not. You don't get hit in bunches, kind of like we've been hit. But it is part of the business. Anytime you are involved in team sports, you have to expect some of these things. You have to be prepared for them. And again, dealing with distractions, dealing with things that can tear at the fabric of the chemistry of your locker room. That starts in training camp and even in the summer, where guys are coming together, they're learning one another. They understand purpose for the group being put together, and that's where you kind of have to fall back on is everybody in that locker room's common goal of making this organization as a team as successful as we possibly can, and for the losing on top of that, it makes it difficult. When you're putting together a new program, so to speak, of 7 or 8 guys that weren't a part of the team last year. Mike obviously missing a bunch of the season, but that's where you have those growing pains, and you have to find that trust, and you have to find that place that you can go to when things are down, and you can hang your hat on that, and you can live there. And when you're new to one another, it takes some time to find that place. So that's where we are right now. We're in the process of finding that trust and finding that place that we can go to, that when things are down, we can just live there, and we know that'll get us out of whatever we're going through.
When you talk about that trust, this morning you were put in a position where you had to deal with a situation that hadn't necessarily been cleared by the team and the league, the previous leagues. Is there a trust issue in terms of what's the information that's coming out?
I wouldn't say, when I use the word trust, it's a past experience that's a shared experience that everybody can relate to. I don't think there's guys who in that locker room think people have ulterior motives, or there's guys who aren't committed or are trying to tear each other down. I don't think that's the case. The leaks is frustrating, just being frank. I think when things happen, no matter what it is, the conversation should always be led by the organization, and it should be a message that's clear, and that everybody's on the same page. I do think that is important, but I don't think, as far as the basketball is concerned, there's any reason to be concerned about how guys feel about one another, how they believe in one another. I think our guys trust that everybody that's in that locker room has each other's best interest and the team's best interest at heart. I don't feel like there's any anything there with that.
So those are two separate instances of trust, like trust in the scheme or trust in your teammates as opposed to
Right.
whatever's happening in the locker
Right,
room.
and I think those are, and again, and even, whether it's trust in the scheme, I think is not entirely correct. Is to me, the trust is, you've had something together as a group, and you know that you can go to that place, and you trust and believe that that's going to work for you. And just being a new team, starting out fast, we didn't hit any real adversity, so you got to find that place during the adversity, and that's where it becomes common, where everybody has that common ground. Like, okay, this is what we can do. This is how we can fix it. This is what we believe in adverse situations can help us move forward.
This morning you talked about the league's team media and just there needing to be that sourcing news coming from the Grizzlies, so everybody's on the same page. Do you think the fact that some of the stuff as a league has excavated some of the issues, or is that separate?
Yeah, I do think so. Anytime you have private or personal issues that then become public, it does, create some sense of dysfunction. And to me, the priority is in those situations. You don't want to air that stuff publicly. I think it's important that you have conversations and be able to have hard conversations and feel that that's where they stay. I understand that with social media and all that stuff that it's part of our business now, but when you're handling any type of matter, you prefer to handle those matters privately. And then if there is something that needs to be said, the organization should lead that. It shouldn't show up on Twitter first or whatever.
JB, five guys that you were counting on at the beginning of the season, now not with the team, won't be playing, injured, whatever. It seems like that would fundamentally change the chemistry of the team. How would you describe that now, including with new players coming in?
I think it's difficult, to kind of happen on the fly like that. But what you hope is the base of what you've done. The guys who are here and who have been here have that understanding and have it down, and they can continue to carry it and build it. Whether it's Mark or Garrett or Mike, whoever it may be, Kyle, all these guys started working together. They had their meetings in the summer, those things where they were kind of pulling each other together and building there. So obviously guys kind of come and go through it, but you hope you can live there and be in that place and give yourself a good foundation. Then when you add new people, you kind of have to pull them along, and you have to integrate them slowly. Start with small packages, and then things can grow. Finding practice time, shoot around time, and those types of things. This part of the year is difficult, so you have to be kind of creative in the ways that you do that. Video playbooks, coaches on the floor with guys, that type of stuff. But you should have that base, and we feel like we have that base, and we just have to grow from there.
Tonight is game 41, like the official midpoint season, essentially. Given how the past 5-6 weeks have gone, is there any sense that maybe the clock's ticking, or maybe time's starting to run low to figure out what's been going on?
Yeah, I think no matter who you are, every single moment you have to be in a sense of urgency. And whether you're winning, whether you're losing, whatever your expectations are, is you always have to play with that sense of urgency. And one of the things that we've been trying to just preach to our guys is the only thing that matters is right now. What's happened these past 5 or 6 weeks shouldn't have an impact on tonight. If we'd have won 10 games in a row, those 10 games don't impact tonight. You lost 5 games in a row, that doesn't impact tonight. It doesn't change your responsibility in the pick and roll. It doesn't change your responsibility to set a screen or pass the ball to the open man, to dive on the floor. None of that stuff changes. The only thing that matters is what situation or scenario we're in right now, and how do I do my job over and over and over again in that situation, to help the team.
Everybody good?
Good job.